Noel's also not too far up ahead of us here, and these animals could be just about anywhere. They could have gone to the left of the road, they could have gone to the right of the road. It's hard to be certain at this stage. They could have already made a kill. I'm not too sure how many dogs there were, but thanks very much to Liz and Edward for giving us that update. Very exciting stuff. Both Noel and I have raced into this area in the hope that we are going to get lucky. Now I'm wanting them to have gone west or to our left, because it's going to be easier for us to follow and find them there. Down to our right is the Mawati drainage, a very big riverbed that's got lots of thick vegetation that's kind of impenetrable. Impala that was also looking very intently and alert. Oh, here their tracks here. Now, where did they go from here? No, well, I've got a few tracks just south of that 2-track that led to Thandi's old kaya, heading south on Twin Dams Road. Noel, I've taken Ingwe Alley to the west. There's a few impala looking out in this direction, but like you said, they could have popped down into the Mawati. Sorry guys, it's very important that we communicate with one another in situations like this, just so that Noel can take the best possible routing. Let's just see if there's any tracks here. Now when they are hunting, of course, there's a very small chance that you're actually going to find their tracks along a road, because they'll be following their prey straight through the bush, whereas while they're looking for their prey, they often do stick to the road. Come on, where are you? I haven't followed wild dogs on the hunt for so long that I'm dying for this to happen. Come on! Molly, you also very excited, second to Leopard, and where to go, what to do. Okay, I think I'm going to need to do a big loop and go further south of where we already are. They just move so quickly that they could be just about anywhere by now, and they also change direction very often. Are there any tracks here? Are there any tracks here? No tracks to see there. So let's continue on. Hold on, buckle up. We are not going to be wasting any time. And we need to get further to the south. Ooh. Nice. Ooh, now these impala have come running out, and they were looking back over their shoulders, so these impala could have already covered a long distance. So now instead of going south, I've decided to go north. Maybe, just maybe, the pack has changed direction and I'm going to pop out somewhere closer to quarantine. But if we don't have any sign of them up here, then I'll head back south again. It's just kind of, you got to go with your gut feel, and essentially it's gambling at the moment. They could be anywhere. Kyle, you've just mentioned that we need to be careful of stumps, and yes we do, because I don't want to end up like Tristan and go flying out the vehicle, because last time he was following wild dogs, that's what happened. Okay, no sign of them up here. Let's head back south. No, well, maybe hang around until they're located and then if you locate, I'll move out, and if I locate, you can move out, and then rather just try and find them. No, I'm telling you not to move out. Let's find them, and then whoever doesn't find them out of us can move out, and then there's only 3 vehicles. So Noel kindly offered to move out of the area to make space for another vehicle, because when looking for animals, we tend to limit it to 3 vehicles, so that as and when the animal's found, all 3 of those vehicles can move in and start enjoying the sighting. But because our vehicles are different in the sense that if she found them, I would move out, and if I found them, she could move out, and then it would all be fine and dandy, because we essentially are one vehicle, because we just wanting to show you guys the wild dogs in this situation. Alrighty then, well, I'm feeling confident we are going to find them, but we are going to need some time to concentrate, so we're going to send you back up to the Masai Mara with Ralph, and hopefully you'll be having fun up there.
Guys, it seems there's pandemonium, as there always is when there's painted dogs or wild dogs around. I know what it's like. You got to try and keep up with them or try and find them. It's lots of racing around, and so everybody's trying to work out which way they went, which way they're going, and which is the best way for you to go, to try and anticipate and cut them off. And once they're on the move, geez, you've got to keep moving until they either make a kill or they slow down and lie down or have a drink. It's a total chaos with those painted wolves or wild dogs. But we've got a very quiet scene going on here. Everybody relaxing and bedding up for the day, I think. So we'll stay here a little while longer, and then we'll maybe go and have a look down towards the Mara River and see what else we can find in between. There has been a number of elephants moving through, and I'm sure Archie can have a look over to the side here. There's still quite a few elephants moving through the area, and every now and then a passing elephant, I think, gets the smell of this hyena den, and then you hear the distressed as they move off, probably quite afraid of the amount or largesse of smell that we're getting from the hyena den, because it's probably quite worrying with the strength or the amount of animals that we've got in this den. Probably stresses all the herbivores out a little bit, knowing what predators await. But they're moving through quite peacefully now. These ones have moved upwind of the clan that we're watching, so they're pretty relaxed. Now, Jay, you're wondering if a wild dog and a hyena could mate. I'm sure they could, but I don't think that they would ever do so naturally or in the wild. Their habits are just too different, and they are very they don't like each other at all. So when predators see each other in the wild, or they smell each other, or they know or work out that there is another one around, they generally prosecute or persecute it until they can actually kill it. If they get a chance, like lions will try and chase down leopard and any of the other predators, leopard, hyena, and even small hyenas, predators like jackals and caracal. If a lion can find any of them, he will kill them. And the same with hyena. If they come across lion cubs, like Scott was worried about a minute ago, if the hyenas come across those cubs on their own without the adults around, they'll definitely kill them. So they actually have more of a hatred relationship than a love relationship, and I don't foresee that there's much chance of interbreeding between predators because of this natural instinctive hate for each other and the competition rules that they try and eliminate another predator. So I don't think that there would be much chance for a hyena mating with a wild dog. If that would happen, I would say it'd probably be what is the word when you have animals in captivity? That was the word I was looking for. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. If they're in captivity and obviously then going through the normal bodily functions, maybe eventually they would have an inkling to mate with each other, but I think it would be a very unnatural environment that would actually come through. Right, I think we're going to move off quite soon because it's very quiet here in the area, and I want to go and move off towards where we see a lot of the plains game, see what else is happening there. Now, Molly, just having a look out where we were looking, you're wondering if elephants chase hyena as much as they chase lions. Not as much as they chase lions. No, I'm not sure if they actually appreciate that lions are a little bit more nomadic. And so they chase them regularly, whereas I've seen the elephants moving quite close to hyena, and hyena moving through elephants without too much disturbance. So it's a bit strange, and it's a bit like the hyenas move under the radar, and with their kind of habit, it's very interesting because I think they move around the herbivores quite regularly, and then almost take them by surprise, because they do often kill them, but it's not like any time the herbivores come near them that they make a kill. So I think they move in between them quite a lot, and then just every now and then when they least expect it, they make a kill. So yeah, but with the elephants, I would say that hyenas are not prodigious elephant predators, not quite like that of the lions can be with super prides and so on. Now, Pachyderm, you're wondering exactly along my train of thought, would hyenas ever hunt elephant? I would say that they would, and they're opportunists, so I would never say no, but they would struggle to be able to hunt anything bigger than a little baby, because as long as the elephant stays on its feet, hyena don't have the claws like lions do, enabling them to jump up on the back and climb up and stay on the rump of the elephant, which is the technique that lions use to actually kill elephants, is to literally start eating them alive and eat the back end, as the elephant not really being able to get rid of them. So it's not that they actually bring an elephant down, they literally eat it alive, and the elephant will eventually succumb to shock and stress and exposure, whereas with hyena they would have to chase the elephant and get it running. I'm thinking of the only technique of hyena bringing down an adult elephant would be able to chase it, but it would have to lie down for them to be able to open up the stomach, because hyena generally don't go for the throat. The first thing that they do, well, we've also seen with buffalo that they do go for the testicles, and then once the animal lies down, after that has happened, then they open the stomach up, and then they start feeding on the animal while it's still alive. Now that's what I could see. The only technique that I would imagine to bring down an adult elephant would be to chase it and get it running, and get it running long enough that it exhausts itself and eventually lies down, and they could go in and open the stomach. But I don't know of any hyena bringing down or hunting adult elephants, but I do know of them hunting youngsters, so little babies that get exposed and left in an area where the hyenas would be able to isolate it from the adults, because as soon as the adults would come back, or they would be able to chase the hyena away and then regroup and move off with the youngster. Alright, I'm going to move position shortly and head off towards those plains and see what else exciting we can find. But in the meantime, let's head you on back to Noel, all the way back in South Africa, for a little update.
Hello everyone, so the updates from this morning: Tingana is south of Chitwa and Annette's, and then Kachava has popped up onto Gowrie, Maine, not far from where we saw her the other day, and I am just busy at the moment waiting my turn, and so I might have to talk on the Game Drive radio in a minute or two. Sorry, I've just seen a beautiful little owl fly up into this tambouch. I think it's an owl. Let me just put my... Yes. So it looks like a little barred owlet that's flown up into the side of this tambouti tree here just as we were passing by. And I think Ferg's just come down just a little bit and go straight in there, Ferg. Straight in from there. Sorry, my monitor's a little bit dark. Go left a little bit more. Left, left, left. There he is. Perfect. Thanks, Ferg. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. So not something we always get to see. It's one of our daytime owlets. We get a pearl spotted owlet as well as barred owlet here. And this to me actually looks like it's a juvenile barred owlet. And that also has to do with the sounds that it's making. Sound a little bit younger, and they are very tiny. They're about the size of, they can fit inside your adult size hand, but this one's looking even slightly smaller than usual. Having a quick look around. So it will eat mice as well as things like lizards, and they're hole nesters. They nest in holes in trees. And it's just making this tiny little chirping noise. It's going to be too hard for our microphone to pick up, unfortunately. Oh, there, he's just gone up to the left just a little bit. Still there. There we go. How beautiful is that? Wonderful. Can you hear the cheep cheeps? Oh, that's fantastic. Check that screenshot, everybody. It's an amazing view. Then when it turns its head, you can see those false eyes behind. Sorry guys, just excuse me one second. While you're looking at this beautiful owlet, I just need to get on the radio. Stations, just confirm, have you called me in? My camera is quite good, so if you can let me come in, I'm happy to come in. Copy, thanks. Alright guys, we're gonna leave our little owlet. Ooh. No, I don't know about Hosana. Can you give me that update? Okay, copy. It's a little bit far from where I am now. I just want to see if I can get a view of Kachava quickly, and then we'll try with Hosana. Thank you guys very much. All right, guys. Ooh, very enticing. Okay, stand by one. All right, everybody. Do we want to go to Hosana, who has a kill, or do we want to try and get a view of Kachava through the bushes? But I need to know quickly. You guys got to send through your requests now. Yeah, we're gonna see. It's also dependent, Nikki, upon the other vehicles as well. Viewers, what would you like to do? Would we like to try and get a mediocre sighting of Kachava through the bushes that may or may not happen, or shall I carry on and see if we can get Hosana on that kill? Alright guys, we're not really getting too many answers, and Kachava is sort of heading off into the thickets. Alright, we're right here. Let's try for Kachava quickly. Oh wait, sorry Nikki, what did you say? More Hosanas. Oh, everyone's saying Hosana. Alright, sorry Kachava, you're going off in the thick bushes. We'll go towards Hosana. Alright guys, thank you very much. I'm going to head towards where Hosana was seen, there by Nyala Crossing. I appreciate the updates. Thank you very much. $100% Hosana. Alright. Sorry guys, hold on. I'm standing by. Copy, just confirm, you mean for me to come on the Ndlela that goes from Gowrie Main straight towards the dam wall, and then I take that old sort of western cut line, the old road there. Copy, thank you so much. Alright, so everyone, what you're watching me do right now is how we usually are with Game Drive. A lot of the time we don't show you any of this, we do this when we're off air. Unfortunately, in this scenario, because of the way everything's working, you get to see how we function. So the guys are so nice, they put me on standby for Kachava, and then she started to move away a little bit, and then another vehicle called just to let me know that, oh my goodness, there's Hosana, and obviously we haven't gotten the update because neither of us are here. So now we're going to head over to him because you all requested Hosana and this kill. There's no one currently with him at the moment, so we're going to have to try and relocate the sighting. Now when we have sightings and we leave them and there's no other vehicles coming in, we put little branches on the road so that we can tell where the sighting was when other people come in, or if you want to go back to it. So you guys are going to be part of me relocating this little male here. Oh, I'm excited because last night we had him sleeping, and then now we have him where he's made a kill, and he's not far from where we had him yesterday evening. This is all very exciting, and I'm actually very surprised that basically 100% of you said Hosana. Poor Kachava. Did it have to do with the visual? I would assume it has to do with the visual. I think we would try and rather see a really great sighting of a leopard as opposed to a maybe. But if she's still lurking around, you never know. We might get to see her, or possibly this afternoon as well. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on... Alright, so I think while I'm busy looking for this little piece of silver cluster leaf, let's check on Scott and see what's happening his side, and then trust me, when I find little Hosana, we'll come right back, don't worry.
Still on the search for these dogs. I am guessing that they actually may have made a kill and therefore being stuck in one area feeding on it. They usually feed very quickly, so once they finish feeding they'll start moving again, but I'm guessing maybe they've got lucky, and that's all the vehicles that were checking this area haven't come up with any further sign, because if they are busy feeding on a kill in one of these thick blocks, obviously difficult to detect. They often also feed fairly silently, so there's not too much squabbling amongst one another. Well, not nearly as loud as lions would be squabbling if they were sharing a freshly made kill. So all we can do is kind of drive around this general area in the hope that they pop up again. It would be worth keeping an eye on the Dan cam. They could head back there once they've made a kill. With wild dogs, I mean, you've just got to basically be prepared for anything, because they move so quickly and efficiently and erratically that their movements are very hard, if not impossible, to predict. But exciting prospects nonetheless. on the prowl for these highly effective African predators. My guess is that they came west off the road that they were heading south down, which means hopefully we'll get lucky with them soon. The reason why I think that is judging from the direction that impala were running and also looking in, the ones that one impala that we first came across gave me the kind of inclination that it's somewhere here that they moved through. Come on! They certainly are one of the most exciting animals you could ever wish to follow on an African safari, because they move so quickly and because they are such efficient hunters, and often there's, you know, a minimum of 5 of them that you get to follow. 5 would be a very small pack. I'm not sure how many you actually saw at the dam cam. I'm not too clued up on the pack sizes here at the moment. Okay, well, very good. Well, we continue our search for these wild dogs. You'll be glad to know Noelle has got to where she was hoping to get to.
Yay! Prince of Djuma. Hello, little Hosana. Fantastic. We are probably only about 400-500 meters away from where we had him last night, so he didn't really go very far. Now, he's just lying on the ground at the base of this beautiful marula tree, and then up inside the marula tree is his kill. Now, just as we got here, it started to rain, so there's going to be less rain inside of that tree. So I'm actually hoping that he decides to get up off the ground and climb the tree for us. There we go. There you can see the back end of the kill there. Looks like a little impala from what I can see. Little metatarsal glands, the little black stripes on the backside there. We've positioned ourselves so that we can see him and the kill for the best part right now. But if he does decide to move, then we will also be able to move our vehicle. There's lots of space. Now, what's interesting is behind him in the distance, there's actually a herd of impala. I don't know if you guys can see there, sort of a little bit to his right-hand side. If we go just, there we are, just in the background there's impala lurking. They're maybe 80 meters from him, and they have no idea that he's here. They can't smell him, they can't see him, there's no alarm calling. So it's just another example of how, yes, if there's predators around, sometimes the prey knows, but a lot of the time they don't necessarily know that there's a predator here. And this very, very soft rain is also going to make a difference regarding that. Oh, this is fantastic. I'm so excited the guys from Chitwa managed to find him again, and that we are able to show you this beautiful boy. I like when we go from having him last night to then having him this morning and be able to carry it on with the continuum of his life. Obviously, we can't stay with him every second of every day, but these little gaps we get are absolutely fantastic. Now, earlier we were just waiting for our turn to get into Kachaba, but she started moving a bit more west, and she's on the little Gowrie side, so it's a little bit difficult to see from Gowrie Main itself. However, where she's going is towards sort of Baboon Pan Twin Dam side, so I'm hoping that at some point, either this morning or this afternoon, we will be able to also see her. That would be fantastic. Now, guys, don't forget we are live and interactive, so please send through your questions and your comments. I want to thank you very much for getting back to me so quickly about who you would like to try and see, either Hosana or Kachava. And I'd also like to know the reasoning behind why you chose what you chose. And I'm very happy to hear what you'd like from there. My friend Murray's just pulling up now. So Murray and I used to work together on another reserve, and then we were actually watching Tingana the other day, and I pulled up and I said, oh my goodness gracious, here you are, and now he's back with us again. It's so nice to see friends as you carry on with different careers in different places and bump into people. It's absolutely fantastic. It puts a huge smile on your face. Cat in Tampa, you always make me giggle. Cat in Tampa, you're saying, way to go, Hosana, this sure does beat a squirrel. That's so true. Yes, this is a much larger meal than that squirrel. And I think what he did is exactly what we talked about last night, is he just waited for it to get dark, and those impala were still around the dam, and he took advantage of the fact that he can see in the dark and that the impala cannot, and he managed to make his kill. It's absolutely great. Now, what's interesting is we've got a couple of yellow-billed hornbills that are floating around here, and they're not really alarm calling for him, but they are jumping around near him and up and down in the branches and just sort of keeping an eye. Hornbills are not normally ones that would alarm call for a leopard, but it's possible that there might be a nesting site that's near here or around the tree, and that's just making them slightly more nervous that he's here. But I've actually never heard of a hornbill, of a leopard catching a hornbill. And Ferg's just telling me now, from where he could see and what he can hear, it sounds as if there is a nesting site inside this tree. So these poor hornbills are trying to feed their chicks in this tree while this leopard has his kill up there. Now, I've seen leopards climb up onto trees and take out baby sociable weavers in the Kalahari, which is near the Kalahari in Botswana and parts of South Africa. And I watched her climb up that tree. It was up a camel thorn tree, and she dug in there and she ate the little birds. But I've never heard of a leopard climbing up, say, a marula tree and then pulling out from a hornbill nest or anything like that, just as a thought. Oh, I see exactly where you're talking about now, Ferg. So there's a wonderful little spot. I'm wondering if we maybe inch forward a little bit. What do you think, Ferg? Forward or back? It's just sort of in here. They keep flying over to where this. Let's try forward here. We'll still be able to see Hosana. There we go. And then we're going to watch these hornbills are actually feeding their young. It's very, very cool. So we've got Hosana completely asleep down here. And then we have these hornbills that are going inside of this marula tree, just into the back there, and feeding their youngsters inside that hole. We've got a lot going on in this sighting. All right, well, now we're waiting for Hosana to either get moving a little bit and eat for us, or for these hornbills to come back and feed their chicks. Let's go up to Ralph, who has something that we very rarely see on Djuma, I should say.
Thanks, Noel. Yeah, and look at these buffalo just watching us cautiously, and that's the same kind of reception that you get when you're out on foot. That is a rather worrying sign when you see buffalo watching you like that when you're walking through the bush, heads raised, and normally stomping the ground and then rocking their heads up and down, and then you'll see the odd individual coming forward to investigate, like that one. But they're obviously just a bit curious. The wind is blowing towards them, so they should be able to know that it is those smelly two-legged animals that are very dangerous. And that's why they do have a bit of interest in us. But they can also see that we're in a vehicle, so they're probably slightly confused. They can smell us humans, but they can see this big green smelly thing once again. So with the vehicle, not so much danger as if we were on foot. We would need to just be a little bit careful with them taking note of us like that. And you can see the oxpeckers still flitting around, the egrets and walking through in the background. Now, Joe, thanks for your comment saying they're giving me the evil eye. And they sure are. And it's normally there's like a gang of security with buffalo, because you can see there's some of them that have come forward, making sure that they are delivering the protection for the group, and everybody else not taking any notice, just carrying on with their business, ruminating, chewing the cud, as this individual is here. A very thorough chewing process, and when they defecate, it is a real slop of soupy vegetation and been very well chewed. But these Cape buffalo, they also are heavily water dependent, and they have a lot of water in their diet, and that makes for the very sloppy nature of their dung, and they do need to drink a lot, so they're not very water efficient, and I'd say probably closer to humans than a lot of the other animals, where they do waste a lot of water. Humans are probably one of the worst, if not the worst, in water efficiency, because we waste a terrible amount of water, and that's why we need to drink so much each day. If only we could live or survive like ostriches, or springbok, or the oryx, or even the ground squirrel, having never need to drink water in your entire life. You could just get it from the vegetables that you eat. So having a couple of carrots and bananas a day, and you'd be all right. It's quite an awesome efficiency and way to think if you would be able to do that. But we're not, and we do sweat out most of our water and urinate and defecate a lot of it out. But such is the nature of our existence. But we are very intelligent, and we are able to walk on two legs, so I'll take that. So we're going to move a little bit away from these buffalo, and we're heading now towards a couple of little plains here. And I'm going to try and catch up with some of those ostriches that were there. We'll have a look at some of the topi. We'll see some gazelle, I'm sure. So I'll send you on back to Noel in a second while we reposition and try to find something exciting. Noel's got still something very exciting with our spotted cat.
I do have something exciting. It's our first leopard for this morning's drive. He is very flat cat, so he's not physically being exciting. And you guys were just letting me know that the reason why you chose Hosana over Kachava is because you've watched him grow up since he was little, and he's the Prince of Djuma. Well, there, thank you, Hosana, for moving a little bit. Grooming himself. He probably got bit by one of the biting flies that I got bit by earlier. And then also some of you were saying, I know I got some messages last night, and then also you're saying now you were so worried yesterday he looked so thin. So just want to reiterate for yesterday, he was not malnourished by any stretch of the imagination. I know that if you ever go and view any sort of wild animals that happen to be in captivity, say in a zoo or in a rehab center, they always have fat round bellies, and that has a lot to do with the fact that they don't actually have enough space to move around, and so it's a little bit harder to see sort of how the wildlife looks out here compared to sort of captive wildlife, which many of you have access to and many of you don't have access to out here. Yesterday he was not hungry, he was just looking for something, but he'd definitely eaten something small in the meantime between when Scott had him chasing warthogs and when we saw him yesterday. So it is good that he does have a nice full meal here, but he was by no means malnourished, so I don't want you guys to worry. If he was malnourished, what you would see is you would see his pelvic bones towards the back and his hip bones really jutting out, and you would start to see the spine also protruding towards the back end there, and he definitely doesn't have any of that. You would also start to see sort of a malnourishment of the coat, and his coat has been absolutely spectacular. So this boy is doing very, very, very well for himself. Now we also have our little hornbill family that's quite busy, and both parents, the male and the female, keep flying back and forth to the hole, dropping off little grub worms, and all you can hear is these screeches of the chicks that are inside basically saying, more, please, more. Lots of activity happening. So now, because of this little bit of rain, these little drops that we're getting, Hosana is busy now grooming himself completely. They don't necessarily like to be wet. I know I've told you all the story of that one young male leopard who liked to dive into the water and catch fish. He didn't mind as much, but most leopards don't enjoy it overly much. Sorry, Nix, can you just send through the question just one more time for me, please? Sankit, interesting question. You're curious to know, do predators store excess food if it's readily available? So by that question, I'm assuming what you're meaning, or thinking what you're meaning, we probably shouldn't assume, is that if, let's say, he can catch 5 impala at the same time, does he catch all 5 impala and then store them and then eat on them along the way? I'm guessing that's where you're going with that. And no, so it takes so much energy and so much, what's the word? Patience and perseverance and skill to take down one piece of food, so one impala, that it makes no sense. They would exhaust themselves trying to take down several impala at the same time. Also, it would be near impossible because once they've caught one, the others, the jig is up, and then storing them. So what a leopard does is a leopard will kill, like Hosana's done, he'll kill this impala, and then sometimes they cache it under a bush, and sometimes they cache it in a tree, and then they feed on it at their leisure. But it's not like he goes away for several days and then comes back. He feeds on it over the next few days until it's finished. If he were to leave it too much, then obviously another predator can come in and get it. Now he's moved a little bit, and we've got this stupid branch that's in the way, so I just want to reverse the car. I'm just going to angle us at a little bit of a different angle, so I get the feeling that he might be wanting to move up into the tree where the kill is. So we're going to do a little bit of this and not try to get in anybody's way. How's that, Ferg? There we go, and you can see him a little bit better with less branches. You can get your screenshots, and I do love how you all take screenshots and then send them through to me. It gives me a nice big smile on my face, and some of your screenshots are really, really incredible. Ellen, sorry, did you say that Hosana went into the water a few months ago when he was much younger to catch terrapins? Did he fully immerse himself? Oh, Ellen, that's right. I had forgotten about that a little bit. How they had been catching terrapins because they were little, and they couldn't really catch anything else yet. Oh, yes, that's so right. And of course, then he would have managed to find a way to get around discomforts to be able to obtain his food. Oh, thank you for reminding me about that. Can we hear those hornbills? Maybe a little bit. They're really screeching. All right, so we've also got rain coming down, so it makes it a little bit harder to hear. Okay, he's going to check and make sure that all of his bits and bobs are in the exact right place that he wants them to be. And then I am convinced he's going to go up this tree and start to eat. From what I can see from the size of the impala that's in the tree, it looks like a lamb. It's not a large impala, so he'll probably finish up eating this one today, possibly this afternoon, or possibly late this evening, and then moving on to tomorrow. So with that being said, going back to our other question is, do they catch a lot and then store them sort of all at once, then go back to them when they feel like it? With something like these baby impala, this is only going to fill him up for a few days. So if he has an opportunity when he's done with this impala to kill another one, he will. But that also being said, let's say he's lying down here and a herd of impala are dumb enough to come wandering past, he might make another kill and put it in the same spot and then feed off of both of them, not necessarily leaving, but staying here for that time. I have also watched a male leopard the same age as him catch a baby vervet monkey and keep it alive, trying to get the parents to come down to save it so that he can catch the parents and kill and eat the parents. I watched that earlier this year. It was an incredible sighting. It was a little bit difficult to watch, but it was absolutely incredible. So I think while we're waiting for Hosana to decide what he feels like doing, let's head back up to Ralph, who has some more cute, and Ralph has all the cute things today, up there in the Masai Mara.
Yes, thanks, Noel. And here we can see some of the favorite food of the leopard, and also for some of the lions as well. But these are lovely animals in their own right, even with the little piglets there. they are very prodigious breeders. They can have 2 or 3 sets of piglets a year. So if left unchecked, they can overpopulate an area very quickly. But if you've got a good amount of predators around, they do take them off quite regularly as well. And then that keeps them in good check, and it can show very quickly if the numbers escalate, because they start to overgraze grasslands very, very quickly. And then you start to have desertification, where you have erosion and bad effects of the destructive overgrazing nature. Okay, folks, we're going to go straight back to Noelle. She's got something very exciting between an arthropod and a bird.
So this hornbill parent just flew up here with a huge scorpion in its beak, and then chomped it around a little bit to get it nice and mushy, and then flew into the hole and fed it to his chicks. It was absolutely incredible. So they're coming up with all sorts of things: caterpillars, grubs, worms, scorpions, berries. They're basically feeding these hungry chicks whatever they can manage to forage around the vehicles here. And Hosana is still busy grooming his beautiful self, our gorgeous little Prince of Djuma, checking in between all of his toes and making sure that did you see him there?
Wrong corner, baby.
That's okay. And checking to make sure that everything's in place. And then Ferg's just busy trying to keep an eye not only on Hosana, but also on these 2 southern yellow-billed hornbill parrots who are flying in from either direction, actually 360 degrees direction, and each time they're coming in with something different. So we're trying to catch them as well, so you can see what they're feeding their chicks, because we can't actually see into where the hole is because there's too much foliage. So we have a sighting for cat lovers and for bird lovers, predator lovers and the avian lovers, all at the same time. Douglas, you would like to know if he has a tick on his nose, and it does look like he has a tick on his nose, maybe even 2. Tingana that we saw the other day had a huge couple of ticks on the back of his head. It is tick season. My legs are covered in pepper tick bites. And these ticks are obviously hitching a ride after he's been sort of lying in the grass there. And when they're nice and swollen, they'll fall off. Now, I've never heard of leopards getting tick bite fever. We get tick bite fever. It's not like Lyme disease. It doesn't kill us, but it's uncomfortable. But I have come into contact with 1 male lion myself, as well as hearing of 2 other male lions who have passed away from a disease dealing with a tick overload. Now, that's happened with male lions that have been kicked away from their pride, sort of around 2-3 years old, as that usually happens, and then not being part of a coalition and having to traverse areas that are already high in male coalition territories and just struggling, and then succumbing obviously to these diseases that's coming from ticks. It's very similar to a type of disease that these ticks carry that affect domesticated dogs sometimes. I haven't heard of it affecting leopards, and I think one of the reasons why I haven't heard of it affecting leopards is a lion's diet is not as variable as a leopard's diet. So let's say for some reason Hosana can't catch these impala that he's so fond of. He will still be able to, as we've talked about, catch things like baby mice and scorpions. And you guys were telling me that wonderful story just now about him being younger and catching terrapins. So he's able to keep his health regulated via that. And so the tick load that he would get would not necessarily get to the point where he might get something like that disease I was just talking about. If he were to get a very horrible injury, then that might be a possibility. But in general, I mean, look, lions are resilient, but leopards are also just extremely, extremely resilient. And as you have all seen with Hosana here, I mean, he's had some really hectic circumstances thrown his way, having to sort of raise himself through up into his adulthood with not as much care from his mom as he should have had if she hadn't passed away. So I wouldn't worry too much about him and the ticks. sorry, Beard, you're saying you had thought you'd heard that the mom gets walled in with the chicks and that the dad feeds them, and now you're wondering if you'd heard wrong or that it's a different bird. No, you have not heard wrong, and no, it's not a different bird, but that's only half the story. So when she's ready to lay the eggs, she goes inside the cavity and she molts off her primary feathers, and her and dad cover it up so that she's stuck in there, and he feeds her through that hole. When her primary feathers have grown back, the chicks have hatched out of the eggs, she breaks through, walls it back up, and then her and the partner feed the chicks that are in there. So yes, you were not wrong. It's just that once the chicks have hatched, then she gets out, because she also needs to be able to sort of function and move once her primary feathers have grown back. But good memory, hi. So you guys do listen. Makes us happy. So we're going from having rain to having sunshine at the same time. So I think maybe let's head on over to Scotty D and see what his update is. Maybe he's got the wild dogs, maybe he's got tracks. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
No, it looks like we have got something else. It looks like this is Thandi. I'm just judging by that saggy flap of skin below her belly. Some of you guys will be able to help confirm who in fact it is. Woohoo! And very, very grateful that Mike, one of the other guides in this area, managed to find her and give us a call on the radio. It's quite a thick area here, so we're going to have to negotiate for this thick vegetation. Now, she is looking quite alert. You can see her tail twitching from side to side, which is kind of a sign of excitement. So maybe she knows there's something up ahead here. We came in that direction and I didn't see anything, so who knows what she's sensing, but she's definitely on the hunt. She's definitely looking quite hungry, and this is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for us to try and stick with her until she hopefully makes a kill or takes us back to wherever she is stashing away her tiny little cub that's, we're guessing, around 6 weeks old, there and thereabouts. Okay, now there are a few other vehicles in the sighting, so I'm just going to be sensitive and give her space and give the vehicles their space. My plan is to continue to stay out with her and not finish work at the regular time, so I'll be keeping Ralph and you guys company for a while. So there's no rush to get more views of her. We will at some point get you some more views, but for now we are going to send you back to Noel.
Alright everybody, we are going to leave Mr. Hosana to it. We will probably come back here this afternoon, either myself or Scott. It's very exciting that Scott found Thandi. I'm happy that she popped out. We worked that area so hectically, and I'm glad that she's decided that she wants to be seen. What I think we'll do is we're going to sort of say goodbye, but when we leave, we're going to go past where Kuchava was seen. If we get a visual of Kuchava, I will let Nikki know, and hopefully we'll be able to put her on screen for you guys. And then if not, I'm going to see you this afternoon when we broadcast from both locations, again from the Masai Mara and from here. So if that suits everybody, we're going to carry on and see you in a few hours.
Thanks, Noel. And look what we've managed to find. One of those very pretty ground birds, the southern ground hornbill. And it is very pretty walking through the plains with that very black color and the red on its throat and around the eyes. Very nice to watch. This just seems to be one individual coming through here. Normally in other small groups, don't generally see them all on their own, but this is obviously an individual that is quite happy on his own, walking through, looking for anything that moves, insects, little lizards and grasshoppers or whatever else as he goes along. And remember, that call is very much like a very deep bass drum off in the distance. It's actually quite similar to that of ostriches. Ostrich can make a noise that almost sounds like a distant roaring lion. It's a ooh, ooh. They're very often confused with lions calling off in the distance. As that one disappears now behind the bushes. Ah, there he is again. So we are going to be heading up the road a little bit more now. I think we're going to head off there, Archie. The main road, so we are going to head a little bit towards where the marsh is, and I'm going to try and see just quickly before the end of the show if we can maybe catch up on some lions. So we'll have a quick look and see if there are any around. Some of the maintenance staff, they'll be going around looking at some of the roads. You know, very important to maintain roads in any kind of natural area or wilderness reserve, because if roads are left, you know, it's an exposed area now, and when it rains, then that will become a very big source of erosion. So they need to be making all the drainage that will stop the erosion from occurring. But it's a lot of hard work, and it's very labor intensive, so lots of people need to be involved, and they need to constantly do it. Especially after it has rained, they need to redo it and make those mitre drains and bolsters, etc. So, and there's probably all sorts of other things that they need to be doing, maybe some fences, some enclosures, etc. There's not real fences around the perimeter of the Masai Mara, but I'm sure there are some fences that they need to look at in terms of enclosures and lodge areas, etc. There's always something to do in a game reserve, and always lots of work. It's very similar to that of farm work, and so lots of work indeed. We always pay tribute to the people that are behind the scenes in game reserves, because they are the unsung heroes, making sure that everything continues the way that it does. We're heading up, we're getting closer towards the marshy area, and I'm sure we'll start to see some buffalo and waterbuck, a little bit of the different animals, not so much the real plains game. Just as I was saying that, we've got a couple of dugger boys, you know, these lone bulls that like to hang on their own. Well, they'd prefer to be with the herd, but they get left behind. So let's just have a look at a couple of them here. Sorry, Archie, I have parked you a little bit skew there now. Sorry about that. I do just need to get off the road a little bit, just so that people can pass us if they need to. And there's nice to see a couple of ruminating solitary or two-by bulls. They're alone because the herd leaves them behind once they get a little bit older, and they're not quite adept at keeping up anymore. So they form these small little bachelor groups. And while we're sitting here, it's quite difficult to hear, I'm sure, for you, because I can only just hear it. But there's a marshy area just off to the right of where these buffalo are, and there's a lot of frogs calling. Now Beck here, very excited to possibly see some lions, and you're saying that more of them, please. Alright, Beck, I think that's a good idea. I think I'm going to start up and try and get into the marsh area as quickly as possible. Try and get into the marsh as quickly as possible, and try and find us a group of lions that we can see just before the end of the show. I'm not promising anything, but I will try my best. In the meantime, let's send you on back to Scott, who's with our lovely girl Thandi.
Well, we've managed to get ourselves into a good spot here. Well, a decent spot. It is very thick, and Thandi is still on the move. The sun's just starting to poke out, and she did just scent mark. It's the first time I've seen her scent mark since I've been back, so it's going to be great to establish where exactly she considers her territory to be, because her and her sister are currently scrapping over territory. And oh, she's heading towards a termite mound. Let's see if we can get you some views of her there. You probably just saw her starting to climb up it. And we were going to need to reposition anyway, so good timing. It is very thick. Just trying to plan my attack here. Hello blue-grey baby, you're wondering if leopards and other big cats get fur balls, and yes, they certainly do. I haven't seen a leopard nor a lion cough a fur ball out for quite some time now, but they definitely do have that problem. There we go. Wow, isn't this absolutely awesome? I really do love these animals, and I think some time spent away from them has made me realize how impressive they actually are. It's not to say the other big cats aren't impressive, and I really did love spending time with Chitwa up in the Masai Mara, but being back here with leopards now, there's just something so exciting, and I feel very privileged every time I see leopard and get to follow them like this, and more so than the lion and cheetah. I'm not too sure why. Maybe it's simply because they are ordinarily quite shy and elusive. It looks like, there we go, she's scent marking again. Chip, chip. A few squirts of urine against that marula tree, and ordinarily when leopards are kind of scent marking, they'll go from big tree to big tree. She's just stopping to see if she can detect any possible prey up ahead there. Oh, I wish I had sensors like them just to understand exactly how well they can hear. You saw her head pivot to the right there. Something definitely caught her attention. And Debbie, it's a great pleasure. I think to have an opportunity like this, to have a leopard on the move, would be something that would be hard to resist staying out a little bit extra for. Now what I'm hoping for is, ideally, is if she can take us to a beautiful tambuti tree where there's a road, a new road that's built just to the south of us. I'm not sure exactly where it is in relation to us, but I'm guessing it is a little bit further to our right. And hopefully she could climb up there. I've never seen a leopard up there, but she tends to have veered a little bit more to the east now. She was heading predominantly west, and then she kind of started turning to the south, and now she's heading west. So maybe she is on the trail of a small antelope. Okay, very good. Well, as we try and get you into another good spot, just got caught on the arm by a branch. We're gonna be sending you back up to Ralph in the Mara, who's patrolling for anything interesting.
Thanks, Scott, and that's wonderful to hear that you're getting lovely visuals of Thandi. I'm still making my way back towards the marsh area in the hope that we can possibly catch up on a couple of the lions here, but it's always difficult. I've chatted to a couple of the other guides. Nobody's seen any lions this morning except for the Olololo Pride, which is way on the other side. Now, pachyderm, you're wondering how fast the savannah would reclaim the road if left unattended. It would actually happen reasonably fast. What you will have then is a succession, a natural succession, which will instantly start with pioneer species of grass next to the road, and they will slowly start to colonize into the middle of the road. And then what happens is, with those pioneer species being there, they're very unpalatable, so not a lot of animals will feed on them. They stabilize the soil, so the soil will then be stabilized, mostly then stopping the erosion, and then starting to put more organic material as they die and replace themselves onto this bare patches. Obviously then the next succession would be plants that come through with the increased amount of the stabilized soil plus the organic material, and then you start to move forward through the succession stages from there. But you could normally say within about 5 years you can almost have quite a stabilized situation, and it is incredible how the plants through succession will maintain or stabilize and then maintain a bare patch of soil. So, but initially obviously it is still a bare patch, and it takes a little bit of time for that colonization to occur across the road. And also with us having compacted the road, it does make it a little bit more difficult for the plants to establish themselves. But nature always finds a way, and that succession does actually happen reasonably fast. It's interesting to note how from a bare patch or a rocky area, once the breakdown of rocky areas and starting of soils, and then your resulting plants and things that start to come through. We term that geomorphology, where you have the rock determining what kind of plant you get there, or firstly the soil, and the soil then determining what kind of plants you get, and the plants determining what kind of animals, and as a result what kind of decomposers, etc. So very interesting to look at that as a science, and it's got a lot of intricacies involved. Now we're keeping our eyes out for those little ears and the tail flicks and the little legs sticking out of the grass. I'm sure we could have driven past 3 prides of lion already without having noticed, but it is very difficult to see in this long grass. That's why it's a little bit easier down towards where the marsh is, or where I was in those open plains where it's been mowed down a little bit by the animals. Okay, so I'm going to try my best to quickly try and get over and find some lions, but in the meantime let's send you on back to Scott, who has still got sight on Thandi.
Yes, we do. I fear she may duck into an area where it's going to be almost impossible for us to follow her through. There's a very steep drainage line that she's moving parallel along at the moment, but it looks like she's about to drop down into it, and if she does, it is going to be near impossible to follow her, sadly. But it's too soon to panic. She could change direction at any moment, and I just hope she does. She definitely appears to be following something, and I've noticed quite a few leopard, especially females, will often follow small prey like steenbok. So even though they may run off, the leopards just keep pursuing until eventually I guess they will get lucky. Beautiful. It's so cool to see them slinking through this thick vegetation like this. That you're wondering if Thandi would be able to patrol and mark her entire territory in one kind of walk. I would say no. As a general rule, they'll do bits and pieces as they move around, but they're not going to do a full kind of perimeter march. Again, that's just my kind of guesstimates and you know, piecing together sightings that I've had in the past with leopards. She's definitely looking south more a lot of the time, so she may cross through. Let me just try and get ahead. Looks like we're going to have a good opportunity to just slink ahead of her a little bit here and get some views of her. Hello Chitty Chatty Meg, you'd like to know which leopard is this, and it is Thandi. And Chitty Chatty Meg, I must also say that some of your friends, some of our other viewers were here at Djuma yesterday, and they say a big hello from you, and I just thought it would be nice to let you know that they were thinking of you, and therefore so were we. So it is Thandi Chitty Chatty Megs. We found her, well, we didn't find her, somebody else found her, but we got her about 15 minutes ago, and she's prowling around looking for a meal. I'm guessing she's nowhere near her new den, wherever that may be. We've got a strong feeling that it's to the north of where we are, and I always find it interesting how far a female will range from her den in search of food. And it seems like that is her priority at the moment, but she has been doing a little bit of scent marking as she goes about trying to find her next meal. So exciting stuff. I'm planning on staying with her for as long as physically possible. And we've just kindly been offered a little loop ahead here by another vehicle that's in the sighting with us. Thanks very much, guys. Okay, now what I wanted to try and do is loop ahead a considerable amount, try and get us into a great spot where we can wait for her to come towards us, and also be in a position where we also allow the other vehicles that are with us to also be in a good spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sneak as low down as we can, get as close as we can to this riverbed that she's moving along, in the hope that she continues that way and then paces right past us. Ooh, I think we're going to be in a very good spot here, if in fact she does continue towards us. Well, Liz, you could be right. Maybe I'm wrong. You say that you think she could be taking us to the den, and wouldn't that be a very, very pleasant surprise? I think we should wait right here, because I'm guessing she's going to come and pop out straight over this log. There's a bit of a natural game trail that she seems to be following. She was a little bit of a way off. We did a bit of a big loop ahead of her, and she is kind of stopping and starting and listening as she goes along. So I've probably gone a bit far. I'm just getting some hand signals from Charles, who's one of the other people enjoying this sighting with us. Now, the good thing is that even if she doesn't come out this way towards us, down to our right in the riverbed, we've got a very clear open view where we'll be able to see her walking over there. So wherever she pops out, I am confident we are going to get a good view of her. Okay, copy, thanks Charles. I can pop into the drainage here. Okay, so she has slunk down in. She has crossed this little riverbed. Somebody else saw her pop in here, so let's do the same thing. She could be crisscrossing in and out through here. Oof, this is looking like there could definitely be a den sighting here. I've just got a visual of her tail. I've just got another visual of her. She's continuing kind of south and west, just on the southern side of this drainage. She was at kind of 10 o'clock sense, somewhere 10 to 11 o'clock, but I'd no longer have a visual of her. I'm guessing she's going to come out. We're going to be able to get a view at 11 o'clock sense in that little opening up ahead there. Oh, well done. There we go. Spot on. So Senzo got a glimpse of the tail there. Now, let's see if we are going to be able to sneak through here. We're going to be able to get a few more great views actually. Let's just wait here. She is going to pop out, and we're at such a beautiful low angle here. So yeah, perfect spot there, Sens. Somewhere just to the right of that big Tamboti tree, where Senzo's got the camera now, is where she's going to pop out. There she goes. Ah, beautiful. Oh, almost prefer viewing leopards in scenes like this than out in the open. I think it kind of exaggerates their beauty and their stealth when you see them slinking through the thickets, and when the cameramen keep that focus perfectly on her, that kind of, my opinion, obviously not all the time, it would be a bit much to be able to view them through these thickets, but shots like we're getting now I think are quite special. Okay. Now there is a cluster of tambuti trees which I don't want to drive over, but I think we might be able to sneak around without actually going over any of those and going over some softer guarri plants that do pop back up, more flexible. Smirchin, you'd like to know if this is happening in real life, and yes, it most certainly is. This is a live safari and it's wonderful to have you on board with us. Now, like I said, some of these bushes that I'm driving over are more suitable to driving over than others, so those are the ones that are being driven over. And we are going to send you back up to Ralph while we try and negotiate some more views. There's no guarantees that we will get some, but hopefully we will.
Yes, thanks, Scott. It seems like it's been very exciting watching Thandi move through the thickets. Well, we've got a very different environment that we're looking at in front of us now, but I have managed to get closer to the marsh, and we're just going to head up on a road where we have spotted the lions quite frequently, as well as having spotted the black rhino around as well. So we're just going to be taking a chance, almost cutting through the middle of this area here, and see if we can spot a little ear flick or a tail falling over. We've only got a little bit of time left on the show, but I do want to just try our luck out and see if it's on our side today or not. Yeah, that's the beauty of wild areas. You never know your luck. And here we are looking for lion. I wonder if we might find something else special along the way. That's what's so exciting about it. But keep driving through slowly, scanning the grass and just looking for those particular shapes that we generally see of the lions. So it takes quite a long time to train your eyes to be able to spot the animals in this long grass. You've asked the question and you're wondering, with Thandi just having scent marked, you're wondering if the prey species actually pick up on the lion and hyena and leopard scent marking. Well, yes, they can, but remember that when they scent mark, it's generally on the outskirts or of their boundary, and sometimes they can mark near to a kill and so on, but generally the prey will be able to smell it. Yes, absolutely, and they will know that it's from one of those big predators, so they will then be cautious if they've smelt that. But the predators won't be marking constantly, and as I say, they're very often doing their boundary, and then they will very often mark after they've made a kill. So they won't be marking just before an attempted chase or a kill, so that would obviously give their position away. So in that moment, normally if you see, for instance, with lions or leopard, if they start the evening and they're quiet, in other words, they don't call and they don't mark, then that's one of the very good signs that they're going to be hunting, because they're not giving away their position. And then once they've made a kill, then you can very often find them marking and roaring or rasping or whooping, etc. So it's quite important for them not to give away their position. Now with hyena, they do mark slightly differently, where they usually use their anal gland and then stand over a piece of grass and literally deposit a very pungent smelling liquid on a little, it's almost like a little sack. That's how well it's a very sticky, gooey substance. So it's not a spray like you would have with the lion and the leopard. It's a very gooey substance just deposited on a particular nice tall piece of grass, normally next to a road or next to a prominent site where animals can then come past and smell that spot. So lions and leopards, they generally back up, tail out and a little bit flicky as they do the very big spray, whereas the hyena and civet and aardwolf, they will do an anal pasting. We have spoken about that with the civets, that very pungent smell of theirs, and it lingers for an extreme long period of time. Alright, so while I continue here seriously trying to find some lions for you just before the end of the show, let's send you off back to Scott, who hopefully is still able to see Thandi.
We can still see her. We've managed to squeeze through some thick bushes. Senzo got walloped by one, but he's okay. And we're about to get you some more wonderful views of this leopard as she continues towards us. I'm guessing she's going to scent mark up and against this knobthorn tree that she's heading towards. There we go. Now we're going to get some great views. Just one little spray there. And I'm guessing that these are the southern reaches of her boundary. Isn't it wonderful how relaxed they are, just a couple of meters in front of the vehicle there. And this is really, really awesome that we are being allowed to follow her so closely and get a good idea of what could well be her southern boundary, and also the kind of pathway she takes. When leopards move into an area and start kind of establishing themselves as she has, it becomes very tricky to find them because you don't kind of understand their habits and their likely areas of movement. But now, just from the last half an hour we've spent with her, I've got a very good idea that if we find tracks in this general area, which trees to come and check, which pathways to come and check. So that is the good news. Now, I'm going to say goodbye for now. I'm probably going to stay with Thandi for quite a bit longer, but we will only go live on Facebook for action broadcasts if anything exciting happens. So I'm going to say goodbye for this morning and let Ralph finish off the last few minutes of the safari from all the way up in Kenya.
Thanks, Scott, and it seems like it's been an absolutely excellent end to the Djuma side of the show, and thanks to Scott for hanging around a little bit longer with those brilliant pictures that you were getting from Thandi. Now, we've been driving through trying to locate where some of these lions are, but we haven't had too much time, and it seems there wasn't anybody else successful this morning. So I just stopped here just to get a little bit of a feel for the grassland areas, and yeah, it's been very quiet on the lion front this morning, but at least we had those wonderful hyena, we had the elephant, we had buffalo, apart from a couple of birds. So in terms of a game drive, that was an amazing success on our part. And then you had all that excitement in Djuma. Wow, what an end to a lovely drive. That is fantastic. So we're going to be looking forward again to this afternoon. I think this afternoon I'm going to try and catch up on the lions first, And then maybe we'll make our way towards the hyena den last. And that will probably be my way of doing things from now on. So thanks to Noel and Scott up there in Djuma. It seemed as it was fantastic this morning. Thanks to Nikki and FC for doing a fantastic job there. And mostly, thank you to all the viewers. Please join us again this afternoon for another wonderful afternoon game drive. Thank you and goodbye.